Morning, folks. About 9 o'clock, June 28th, Friday, almost 75 degrees. Humid as heck here in the Hudson Valley. Got some rain last night. They were predicting and warning about flooding and so forth. We didn't get any of that. We did get rain, no thunderstorms, or if there were any, I slept through them. Once again, humid as heck. I cut the grass on... when did I do it? Friday. And I guess today's Friday again, and it needs it. So once a week, just quickly, the sky. Anyway, this isn't about a weather forecast. Let's get back to this heap. You remember this guy? This is the DT and Missy bike. I think you guys can see that. So, I've been fooling around with this thing, and just to remind everyone, it came to me, they claimed it had an electrical problem. I opened it up, checked it all out, ohmed everything out, changed a whole load of things. Did find that it had a nice cocaine-filled carburetor. Gonna love them cocaine-filled carburetors. So, swapped the carburetor. Basically went through the whole thing, and what I've discovered is, well, what I found was the resistance of the stator coil, the primary coil in there, this guy, this one here was 100 and change ohms. So I said, well, let me just change it. And if you guys recall, the spare stator I got in that box had an opened, so I put one of my eBay stator coils into it and put it in here. Put it in there beneath here, and cleaned everything up, cleaned up the flywheel, all of that. Double check the keyway, and spun it over, and nice fat blue spark, as good a spark as you could get. So homie sees a better spark. It's not intermittent, it's right there, so homie's happy. Homie puts the whole thing together again, goes to fire it up, and I got nothing. She doesn't even try, and we're talking turning it over with the drill there at over 1,000 RPM. She's not even trying. I mean, we're talking choke on, choke off, starting fluid, the whole bit. Not even an attempt, not even a bark, nothing. That guy at least would bark once in a while. This guy, absolutely nothing. So I'm thinking to myself, maybe she was put together 180 out. Right, we got this little, or maybe they left the little key out of here. I don't know if you guys could see it. I don't know if I could see it. If you look on the cam here, yeah, I think you guys could see it. You see that little key? Well, the way it works is this guy drops in. You can see the little notch on there. Right, it drops in on the little key, just like that, and right around there is where it would fire the ignition. And if you look down here, right there, you guys probably can't see it. I'd be surprised if you could. I got my little F for fire. That's right there. This is locked, right? It wasn't put together 180 out. If you guys have ever had one of these apart, there's a small gear here that turns around twice for this thing to go around once. So like if I turn it around so that I'm back to an F here, you can see that, I mean, it's locked into place, but I'm 180 out. So I got to go around twice, which you would expect out of a 4-stroke, to get to where it should be. They don't have this thing set up to fire on every stroke. It fires on every other stroke, like a 4-stroke should. Some 4-strokes fire like a 2-stroke on every single stroke, and they basically aren't used one of the firings. So anyway, I've been all through this thing. I've checked the timing. I've checked absolutely everything, and I could not get her to fire. The only thing I noticed, and it really is the only thing, that if you go to start it and you're turning it over you're turning it over with the drill there fast, and you give it throttle, it does slightly belch out the carburetor. So I'm wondering. Remember I mentioned I loosened the intake valve up a little bit just to make sure it wasn't too tight. So I'm wondering if the intake valve isn't slightly burnt, because I know from past experience, if they belch out the exhaust at all, they will not start. I mean, you can lose some compression out the exhaust valve, and they'll still run, especially if you turn them over fast enough. But I know from experience, if they belch out the intake, they just never seem to fire up. It does have compression way up there. I mean, I showed you guys 180 psi. Unless the thing is all full of carbon. Maybe she's carboned up on top, and that's why the valve isn't closing properly. And anyway, I guess my next thing for this engine is at some point, well, what I'm going to do is put it back together again, give it one more try. Then I'm going to pull it off, put it to the side, put another engine on this thing, because what I want to do with this bike is I want this bike to become a test bed for these engines, and I want to pre-build a few of these engines and have them available. So if I decide to put one on a golf cart or one on the mule or whatever I decide to do with them, they're ready to go. There's nothing worse than having a project where you're trying to put something mechanically together, and when you finally get it mechanically ready to go, then you got to put a motor on it and completely troubleshoot it, because now you're really starting in a bad place. A couple of other things. To swap stators around and do all this, I found a company out there on eBay that sells connectors, and they sold that connector. It appears as if their specialty really is for lunatics like myself who want to swap coil to stator to, CDI and all that. Anyway, you buy this little kit from them. I don't know, refocusing here. And in this little kit, they have various connectors and all, so that you can swap one thing to the next. I think they're known as ATC, ATV connectors, something like that on eBay. So I bought that, and I actually used one of them right here. The whole bag is, I think the whole bag is like $8, $9. So if you're trying to put these things together properly, that's handy. What they have also in the bag is they have it so that, see this round plug CDI? You can't buy those new anywhere. You could buy the square plug CDIs, the 110 CDIs that you can swap from these and to all the others. The square plug is also much more common. You could get those. And they have a socket in there so that you can clip these wires off, push them through the socket, and then put the cable ends on them, and go with a spare plug. Convert this thing to a square plug. Kind of important if you're low on parts. So anyway, enough about this. Just quickly from our friends at eBay. I picked up a cover and stator. That was a great deal. I managed to score that for like $50. What I like about it is the gasket's there, so I don't have to play with the glue death. And I picked up, this was a $10 item and $10 postage, so $20. Another CDI coil and full harness. And that's for a 200S. That's for this guy if I wanted. I'm having such a problem with ants here. I'm not sure if you guys are suffering from that also. About what engine to put on this thing? This engine here came with this bike as, you know, spare. This is from Galloway, New York. My friend's up in Galloway. That's where all this is from. Remember, I picked up two engines. Well, an engine that was on the bike that was seized, and a second engine that was loose. Unfortunately for the second engine that was loose, they kind of fooled around. It's going to be a little upside down for you guys, but let me show you anyway. What happened is they must have stripped these out. So they replaced them with bigger studs. And when they replaced that guy with a bigger stud, you can see they left very little head behind, so to speak. So I'm not sure if I'm going to try to put this engine on. I'm considering putting it on, and I'm considering fooling around with that head bolt a little bit. If I had to guess, knowing the characters knowing the work I've seen from these characters, if I had to guess, they probably used an SAE bolt, probably about the size of a head bolt for a Briggs & Stratton. So I'm probably going to pop this engine on this frame next, because I told you my goal with this guy is to try to turn her into a 185 200 185S 200S Honda test bed, so that I can flip engines on and off this thing easily and figure out what's going on. So far I have not been successful at my quest. Alright, so I showed you the crap from eBay. I talked about this thing, and I'm still scratching my head and showing you what other engines I'm going to put on, and I guess that's about it. I have to go to work tonight. Yeah, lucky me. Big one day this week, and I think I'm alone tonight. I'm going to have to do all the coverage, so it's going to be one of them busy, ugly nights. But I figured instead of running errands today, I would try to get this bike up to par, at least get to the point where I can make a decision on it. Yesterday afternoon, just after I made the video, I put the new coil on the stator and got her ready to go in there, and obviously it's in, and I got a nice blue spark, but it doesn't work. So I try to make just a little bit of progress every day that I can, moving things toward the end. This garage is clogging up with projects. I gotta move these tires and put this thing together. I already know what the story is on this thing, so I think I'm just gonna put her back together as is. I don't think I'm gonna go to try to start it. I think, yeah, especially given that they stole the interlock or whatever that ignition piece is called there. So I think I'm just going to put this together and move it off to the side. It's a complete unit. It's got the dashboard and everything, so I'm not really thrilled about leaving it outside. So I'm not quite sure where I'm going to put it, what I'm going to do with it, how I'm going to store it, but I don't know. I gotta put a few moments thought into this. I'm kind of moving the Horde cleanup in a few different dimensions all at the same time. I'm trying to do this in more than one plane, so to speak. I'm trying to figure out what to do with a bunch of these tractors. If I could get rid of some of the tractors, right, move them to new homes or whatever, scrap what needs to be scrapped, and get some more space in here, which is something I really need. Once I do that, then I got a place to work, a garage to work in, and I can go forward. I really was thrilled when I scored this SL350. I have the paperwork for it and everything. I mean, it's in nice shape. It was stored properly. The guy who had it in his basement, took the battery out, and the gas tank's clean. It's all ready to go. I mean, heck, I could probably get a load of the money back that I paid for it on the gas tank, the seat, and the side covers. It's got just enough patina on it to make it interesting. That's rust. The reason why it can't be put on the road immediately is it's got cracks here. I don't know, could you guys see those? And it's got it on both sides, so it needs a new, I think that's called a triple tree. So an SL350 triple tree. I might have a triple tree for it on a old CB200 that's floating around in the shed, or I may not. Let's assume I don't. Anyway, I'm even considering putting this thing up for sale, just once again to make some space. If I put a little time into it, I think I could get the Bolins that's outside underneath this. I can roll it underneath or get it underneath. Though that creates another pain in the neck. Or maybe I can move some of the other units around and put it over here. Because I do want to get that 1050 out of the rain, get her started, get a snowblower on it, and get that thing to be useful for this winter. So I'd like to do that, and perhaps it's going to land here. I already said the case needs to find a new home. If somebody threw the right numbers at me, that Craftsman could find a new home. I think even this Honda, it's an SL350. They call it SL as in street legal because it's got the high pipes. Instead of the pipes running low, they run high. I don't know, could you see them back there by the taillight? And their belief was this was an off-road bike in the day. I find that interesting, how one is going to wield a 500-pound bike on an off-road. I think it's a 73 or 75, whatever it is. Anyhow, I have the paperwork for it. So there we are. Anyway, I have to run. I have to clean up and get some sleep. So live, love, and have a great time. We'll catch you guys on the next episode of the Horde. Till then, remember, tires down, handlebars up, and we'll see you soon.